Bonjour, bonsoir. Welcome to another video. And before I get into this video, I'm just going to talk about Toronto and give my thoughts on it. I know I gave my thoughts on this city in a previous video. I think the video is Toronto is a shithole, and I gotta say, this city is a shithole. Like, look at it. Like these trolley tracks, they go in different directions. Like, in Europe, this doesn't look like this. But I look, it's kind of like this is something that you find in San Francisco. I never seen anything like this. This city is just it's chaotic, it's disorganized, it's gross and disgusting. Yeah, because it's gross and disgusting. It's very unclean, very filthy. Like, construction always happen all the time here. Like, Jesus. Wow. I mean, yeah. So I'm gonna just take a look at some few things before I get into this video. I'm gonna take a look at this Burger King. Okay, I'm on Google Maps and looking at a Google Street View of Toronto, a part of Toronto, and I'm on 267 College Street. So I'm gonna take a look at this review for this Burger King. Hey. There we go. Okay. Okay. We'll get some reviews. Okay, just read some comments. Okay, this Burger King on College Street in Toronto, it got a 3.4. I'll just read some of the comments. Okay, the experience is pretty good. Fries are crispy, and the food are well packed. Here's another one. The staff refused to serve me breakfast at 5:45 a.m. on a Sunday morning. So, okay, what time Burger King starts serving breakfast? I don't know. I don't go to fast food places all the time, so I'm assuming they probably start serving breakfast around, but I say like 6 a.m. So this person got there way too early. Okay, here's another one. But location does get a lot of homeless, which makes it unpleasant place to eat. Get a lot of homeless people, and let's see. I guess this on the side of the street on a sidewalk. Let's see. There's trash and there's a shopping cart turned over. I guess this is where a homeless person lives. Yeah. Okay, this Burger King is not clean. So it's probably very, very, very gross and disgusting. I remember I was on an Italian flight, and yeah, I took an Italian flight from New York to Rome in Europe, Rome, Italy. Yeah, New York in the U.S. to Rome in Italy in Europe. And I also took an Italian flight from Rome, Italy, back to New York in the U.S. Well, I took these two flights. Well, I took the first flight from New York to Rome to get on a cruise ship in Italy, to go on that Mediterranean cruise back on October the 14th of 2023. So that wasn't that long ago. And I think this happened. I can tell you the story on this flight, this return flight from Rome, Italy to New York after I got off that cruise ship. The bathroom in that airplane or washroom was very disgusting. It smelled really bad. There was shit everywhere, shit all over the toilet. It stunk to high heaven. Like I almost threw up. It was motherfucking gross. Really, really gross. So, okay, this Burger King, on College Street and in Toronto, I guess is probably just as filthy and dirty and disgusting as that washroom on that Italian flight. Okay, and see. Okay, it looks like there's a lot of college students, college university students. I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to like sexual harass any women or anything. I'm not trying to do this, but I noticed on Google Maps, I noticed like nearly like I say like some of the women and girls in Toronto, like they all of them are rocking mom jeans. They're all wearing mom jeans. It's like the 80s and 90s are coming back. Yeah. Mom jeans are coming back. I mean, women and girls of the current generation are wearing mom jeans. Yeah, I guess they like them. I guess they're very comfortable jeans. Like I wear jeans that are similar to that. And I got two pairs of Levi's. And I like wearing them because they are very, very, very comfortable. And they are. Yeah. Okay, I see the tram. And I gotta say, we're gonna these tram cables, and look at all these tram tracks. Like, I bet the transportation in Toronto is a mess. Because, the transportation system in Europe, is way better than this. Way better. Jesus. Like, wow. It's a walkable city, but there's this thing called the Strode, a hybrid road or a street in a city that's a cross between a road and a street, and it's called a Strode. Got that from a Canadian YouTuber with the YouTube channel Not Just Bikes. I took a look at that channel, and that channel just tells a story about how bad the transportation system in the US and Canada are. I never heard about Harvey's. Um, yeah, I see that like Harvey's is kind of similar to Carl's Jr. in the US. Yeah, I know that I know that there's Carl's Jr.'s in Canada. Harvey's, okay. Is the food there good? If you're Canadian, you can tell me if the food there is really good. Harvey's. Mm. Harvey's, Tim Hortons. Yeah, I never heard of these places, so I guess if I'm in Canada, I just stop by these places for a bite to eat. One of these places. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I showed this in a previous video. Yeah, it looks like there's a mom jeans revolution brewing in Canada. I I guess it's just in Toronto. Yeah, you know, yeah, yeah. This woman, in white and a pair of blue jeans and white tennis shoes. Yeah, she looks all right. But yeah, yeah. I also remember that the women in Toronto, they don't give good eye contact. They're hostile monsters. They're very cold. They don't talk to you. Um, they got issues. A lot of men and women in Toronto, they all got issues. Um, Kind of radical liberals, kind of like a woman at a gay pride parade in Toronto blocks a man from blocks a man from filming the parade with with the camera option on his smartphone. A street preacher gets spit on by a gay guy at a gay pride parade. A woman calls a man a piece of shit because his male friend, committed suicide. Um, yeah, a man who's from South America gets harassed by a news reporter, an aging politician, a woman, and two cameramen harassing this guy for no reason. And the news reporter, who's butt ugly, who's a who's an Italian Canadian, calls the man a weirdo. He's doing so creepy. Just because he filmed the park where these people are at and filmed this sign that says consent on it. Then you got Shanty Biggs, a super feminist who's fat. She wears glasses and she has bright red hair. She goes ballistic on her third wave radical feminist beliefs. A girl tries to force a guy to take off his Donald Trump "Make America Great Again" hat, and she wouldn't leave this guy alone until he takes this hat off. Well, yeah. Before I get into this video, I'm gonna mention one more thing. It's like Canadians who don't say anything racist or shameful or bad. They say something that's innocent, that's not racist, and they're just targeted and being called racist. Then you got Canadian YouTubers, and I noticed some of them don't say anything. I commented on a guy's video on his YouTube channel. Then some crazy troll comes and says that he's a pedophile and he runs around and molests children. And the guy who's the owner of the YouTube channel said this to him: "No, I don't. I don't do that. Shut up, troll." So, yeah. So that troll must be from Toronto. You know, I'm on Google Maps. I'm looking at these people. I think these Torontonians, some of them, not all of them, I think they're pretty screwed up. I guess they're screwed up because they live in a filthy, dirty, disgusting, rundown city that's the capital of Ontario. So I can confirm to those Canadians who live in Toronto who say that Toronto is a shithole. And you know what? I can confirm that it is a shithole. Alrighty then. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Trans-Canada Highway. That's it. That's right. The famous Trans-Canada Highway. Okay, before I get into the Trans-Canada Highway, I just want to say this, on the opening of this video, I'm not trying to like be a pervert when I talked about some of the women in Toronto, wearing mom jeans. I'm not trying to be dirty and inappropriate here. I'm not trying to offend or make any woman in Canada uncomfortable. I wasn't trying to do that. So, just want to give you guys a heads up on that. Okay, the Trans-Canada Highway. Okay, let me go pick a province of where this highway runs through. Okay. I'm found a section of the Trans-Canada Highway near the provincial border between Manitoba and Ontario. Okay. Here I am. Okay. I'm on the Trans-Canada Highway near the border with Ontario, and I'm in Manitoba. Okay. All right. Let me go read something about the Trans-Canada Highway. Okay. The Trans-Canada Highway, French, Route Transcanadienne, abbreviated as the TCH or TCAN, is a transcontinental federal provincial highway system that travels through all 10 provinces of Canada, from the Pacific Ocean on the west coast to the Atlantic Ocean on the east coast. The main route spans 7,476 kilometers across the country, one of the longest routes of its type in the world. Man, that's a long, long, long highway. The highway system is recognizable by its distinctive white on green maple leaf route markers, although there are small variations in the markers in some provinces. Okay. Yeah. That's the Trans-Canada Highway. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the Trans-Canada Highway, parts of it on here on Google Maps. And I noticed like parts of the highway is a single lane, two-way road. Some parts of it is a divided highway. Some parts of it is a freeway. But in some parts of Canada, the Trans-Canada Highway has remained in this two-lane, single-lane state. It hasn't been upgraded or anything. You know, I heard that near the provincial border with Manitoba and Ontario is going through a twinning process where an existing road is going to be built next to the single lane two-way road, which is the Transcanada Highway, to create a dual carriageway or a divided highway. And I'm gonna say this. Oh, whoa, hold on a second. Okay, man, look at that "Welcome to Manitoba" sign. Welcome to Manitoba. Bienvenue en Manitoba. My French isn't that great. Okay, it has a polar bear on it, and on the bottom of it has a lot of stickers on it. And I saw this on a welcome sign for New Brunswick on some highway, and it had like stickers all over it. Like, it's just disgusting. Like, someone trashing a welcome sign for a province along a highway. You know, I think some of these people are visitors from the U.S. or from Canada or some parts of Canada, or the locals. Yeah, I think they're the ones who are trashing these welcome signs for provinces on highways. I think this is the reason why, like, some parts of Canada is kind of shitty. Okay. The Trans-Canada Highway. Yeah. The Trans-Canada Highway, you know, like, yeah, some parts of it is a freeway, some parts of it is a divided highway, some parts of it is a single lane two-way road, and you know, parts of the Trans-Canada Highway runs through like a lot of a huge forest area. It runs through a forest, like a forest area. I say like in Ontario, I think the western part of the province. It just runs through like very dense forest, like, you know, a very boring drive, and I think that explains why some Canadians who live in different parts of Canada, they cross the U.S. border to use the interstate highways, one of the interstate highways or interstate routes in the U.S., to bypass a section of Trans-Canada Highway that's very slow and very boring. Like, traveling across Canada on the Trans-Canada Highway looks like it's a really nice drive. Like, you know, it's kind of like driving on the back roads in the U.S. You know, where in the U.S., you know, you avoid the interstate routes and you just drive on the back roads. That's what driving on the Trans-Canada Highway is like, but I never been on a Trans-Canada Highway. I've just seen it here on Google Maps. Okay. That's just Manitoba law. Slow down. Move over when passing stopped emergency vehicles, and you got to do it at 60 kilometers per hour. Okay. Okay, this is a wait station. I'm in White Shell, Manitoba. Okay. Okay, I'm heading west on the Trans-Canada Highway, and this sign says that there's a divided highway up ahead. There's a dual carriageway up ahead. So, yeah. Okay. And yeah, the divided highway section isn't any better because like some parts of the Trans Canada Highway like are really rough and bad in some places, and some places is really good. This divided highway section in Manitoba, yeah, it's decent, but the speed limit is not that high. It's about like 100 kilometers per hour, so it's a little lukewarm fast. Okay. Okay, still on the Trans Canada Highway. Okay, this section of Trans Canada Highway is near Falcon Beach, Manitoba, and is known as Manitoba Highway 1. That's basically the Trans Canada Highway. Now, I noticed I've been looking on Google Maps of highways in Canada. Like some of them are like some of the roads are narrow and they're very dangerous. I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna get off the Trans Canada Highway and show you guys a highway somewhere in Manitoba that I saw on Google Maps like a lot of times. Okay, this is on an approach of a divided highway on Provincial Trunk Highway 59. This is south of Winnipeg. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys something. Yeah, I heard that the highways in Canada are some of them are very narrow and they're kind of dangerous because of wildlife, and I'm gonna show you this. Okay, on this approach of a divided highway beginning, you can see here like okay, there's lane markings near the double yellow line. Like it's like the lane is like very narrow and it start to grow. And I guess when it grows out, then that forms a passing lane or overtaking lane where you overtake a slow car in a slow lane. Sorry about that, folks. The phone was ringing. So as I was saying, so let me go back to what I was talking about before I was rudely interrupted. Rudely interrupted. Okay. On this divided highway approach on Manitoba Highway 59 or Provincial Trunk Highway 59. This lane right here, like when the divided highway begins, or when the dual carriageway begins, the passing lane starts off like very narrow and small. It starts like near the double yellow line, and there's like white lane markings like near the double yellow line. Then the lane grows into a overtaking lane or passing lane, where this lane is used to where cars that get on it to overtake a slow moving vehicle that was moving slow in front of them in the slow driving lane. Like, man, that's some bad road construction. Like, I heard someone who lives in Manitoba says this, like, the highway works and department in Manitoba, they don't know how to build a highway. And I see why. That's some poor highway design right there. Like a, a passing lane starts out small and it grows into its form when a divided highway begins, and also it's in reverse when a divided highway ends. Like, look at this. This is hideous. Oh my god. Why? Why? Like, makes no sense. This is why, like, some of these highways in Canada, like namely in Manitoba, are so dangerous. Okay, I'm gonna read some more about the Trans-Canada Highway. I'm getting this information on Wikipedia. Okay, while the definition, the Trans-Canada Highway is a highway system that has several parallel routes throughout most of the country. The term Trans-Canada Highway often refers to the main route that consists of Highway 1, British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, Highways 17 and 417, Ontario, Autoroutes 40, 25, 20, and 85, Quebec, Highway 2, New Brunswick or Nouveau-Brunswick, Highways 104 and 105, Nova Scotia or Nouvelle-Écosse, and Highway 1, Newfoundland. This main route starts in Victoria and ends in St. John, passes through 9 of the 10 provinces, and connects most of the country's major cities, including Vancouver, Calgary, Regina, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Montreal or Montreal, Quebec City, and Fredericton. One of the main route's 8 other parallel routes connects to the 10 provinces. Connects to the 10th province. Let me read this again. One of the main route's 8 other parallel routes connects to the 10th province, Prince Edward Island. So the Trans-Canada Highway runs through 10 provinces: British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. And I noticed, like, I mean, in the western part of Canada, British Columbia, you got actually in Alberta, like the Trans-Canada Highway splits into 2. You got a northern part that runs to some island just north of British Columbia. And also in the south, it runs all the way to in the south, the southern portion runs all the way to Victoria on Vancouver Island, where it ends, which is its western end. So this is where the Trans-Canada Highway gets really confusing. Okay, in Nova Scotia, okay, the Trans-Canada Highway runs through Nova Scotia. Then it splits with a northern part going up into Prince Edward Island by crossing the Confederation Bridge, and it runs through like Prince Edward Island, and it runs through its capital, Charlottetown. And then after that, the Trans-Canada Highway goes to the southern part of the island of Prince Edward Island and just transition into a ferry, and it goes through this ferry and returns to Nova Scotia to reunite with the southern with the southern piece of the Trans-Canada Highway to merge together to become one Trans-Canada Highway. Then it goes all the way through Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, and it transitions into a ferry to run through the Newfoundland Island to end at St. John's. So, this is a part of the Trans-Canada Highway that's very confusing. What's my gripe about the Trans-Canada Highway? Like, okay, in provinces like British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, Ontario, and also in Nova Scotia, like the Trans-Canada Highway splits into two in those provinces. Yeah, splits into two in those provinces, and it's kind of confusing because both of them, both pieces that make up the Trans-Canada Highway, they both have the same name, which is the Trans-Canada Highway. So both of them are the Trans-Canada Highway. It's kind of confusing. Like, okay, like we just signed. Okay, when the highway splits into two in some of these provinces, like, well, you just have it as Trans-Canada Highway A and Trans-Canada Highway B. Yeah, Trans-Canada Highway A will be the portion of the highway in the north, and the southern part will be Trans-Canada Highway B. That would make a whole lot of sense, but what I see here, they don't do that. The Trans-Canada Highway just splits into two in some of these provinces, namely just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, just 6 provinces, which is British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Quebec, and Quebec, and Nova Scotia. Like, the highway splits into two. And not naming these like split sections is not naming these split sections don't make a whole lot of sense and kind of confusing. And there's also something that really doesn't make any sense. Okay, the section of the Trans-Canada Highway, which is at the border between Ontario and Quebec, which is known as Highway 417. When the Trans-Canada Highway crosses into Quebec, it becomes Autoroute 40. And Quebec, the Francophone province, or La Belle Province, chooses not to name their section of the Trans-Canada Highway, which doesn't make any logical sense. So the Trans-Canada Highway shield for a portion of the Trans-Canada Highway will just remain blank. And and the Trans-Canada Highway just piggybacks off of some of these provincial routes in some of these provinces. Yeah, Quebec, a French-speaking province, a Francophone province, was once a piece of New France, the New France colony, or Nouvelle France, chooses not to name their section of the Trans-Canada Highway. So they just have a blank Trans-Canada Highway shield. Makes no sense. Man. Parts of the Trans-Canada Highway is pretty bad. And it is. I think maybe why Quebec chose not to name their section of the Trans-Canada Highway because I guess like a long time ago they wanted to break away from Canada back in 1995 through an election, and it failed. And they want to, and Quebec wants to keep their province French by preserving the French language, and by stumping out English completely, like bringing in like hardcore French language laws, where people who run businesses they got to have the name of their store in French, but if the name of their store isn't in French, they'll be fined. And they just have it very distinct for English, and get this, I heard this, if you move to Quebec, you have like a couple of days of receiving French language of English language services. When that's up, you have no choice but to get French language services. And also, if you're going to a college or university, you got to study in French and take a French course. If you fail the French course, I guess you're kicked out of the province, or booted out of the parliament, booted out of the parliament, or or booted out of the province, not parliament. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that sucks. I don't hate French. I'm trying to learn French. I'm trying to learn metropolitan French, not Québécois French, or Français Québécois. So back to the Trans-Canada Highway. This highway, I don't know what to say. It's confusing. Parts of the pavement is in really bad shape. In some provinces, not all of them. Yeah, it's confusing because the Trans-Canada Highway splits into two I think in 6 provinces. Oh, yeah, I lost count. Like, it splits into two in like in the majority of the provinces, not all of them. It splits into two in one of these provinces, not one of these provinces, like like a couple of them. And when it splits into two, like both parts of the Trans-Canada Highway carries the Trans-Canada Highway name. I don't get it. Yeah. Man. They don't know how to name highways. And provinces choosing not to name their section of the Trans-Canada Highway. And in some provinces, like Manitoba, they don't know how to build a highway or refurbish it or / repair it. That's just sad. Like, really. Yeah, here's a road sign in French. Monty Wilson Pointy Fontud Salty to 1 kilometer. Okay. My French isn't that good. And let's see, the speed limit on this section of the Trans-Canada Highway in Quebec, which is Autoroute 40 or Autoroute 40. Okay, maximum speed limit 100 kilometers per hour. Minimum speed limit 60 kilometers per hour. Okay, kilometer stone marker. Okay, I'm on a section of the Trans-Canada Highway in New Brunswick or Nouveau-Brunswick. Okay. Yeah, I'm near the Quebec border. So there's the welcome to Quebec sign or Bienvenue entre Québec. Okay. Okay. There's some road sign in French about moose crossing the road, and you got to be careful. Stay vigilant on wildlife. Yeah, and that's why some of these highways in Canada are dangerous. Not because of wildlife, it's just like snow. I think when it snows, it's very, very treacherous. The roads are treacherous when it snows. Okay, here's what I mean about Quebec not wanting to sign their portion of the Trans-Canada Highway. Okay. Autoroute 85. Not. That's north in French. Okay, and next to that shield is the next to that Quebec provincial shield is the is a Trans-Canada Highway shield which has Transcanadienne on top and Quebec on the bottom. And on that maple leaf there's no route number because Quebec chooses not to name their section of the Trans-Canada Highway. Yeah. Looks just weird. A blank highway shield. I can imagine in the US where an interstate highway or a US route have no number on their shields, and like in some states just choose not to name their section of a major highway that runs through their state and just have a highway shield with no number on it, just completely blank, or route shield that's just basically completely blank. Yeah, I can imagine seeing that in the US. But it seems that Quebec got away with this. I don't hate Quebec, and I don't hate that francophone province. Yeah, it's known as the beautiful province or La Belle Province. It's a beautiful province, and it is. But this right here, as you guys see before you, this is kind of strange. I gotta say, if looking at the Trans-Canada Highway in a lot of provinces, that it runs through, I gotta say, it's a very scenic highway. You see a lot of the country. It's basically, driving on the back roads in the U.S. because you know when you drive on a Trans-Canada highway, it's like it's like driving on the back roads here in the U.S. That's basically what it looks like. I mean, I never driven a car on it. I never driven on the Trans-Canada highway, but you know, I'm assuming that yeah, it's like being on the back roads here in the U.S. And also, it kind of resembles old Route 66 in the states. Yeah, looking at the Trans Canada Highway, it's kind of like the U.S. never never went for the interstate highways. The interstate highways never existed. They didn't. The country didn't go for it. I mean, Dwight D. Eisenhower didn't sign it into law, and I mean, yeah, and you just have like roads that run through highways that run through small cities and towns and act as the main street of those small cities and towns and create a bottleneck of traffic. Yeah, that's kind of what the Trans Canada Highway is. I mean, some Canadians hate driving on it. They have to like cross into the U.S. to take the interstates to bypass a stretch of the TCH that runs really slow through a forest in Ontario. Yeah, like, and the worst part about it is like when it splits into two in one of the 6 or 5 provinces, like two pieces of it like runs like one part runs in the north and one part runs in the south, and they both carry the Trans Canada name, which is very confusing. I gotta say, like Toronto, I mean not Toronto, but the Trans Canada Highway is even some parts of it is even worse than Toronto. So is the Trans Canada Highway crap? Some parts of it is. Other parts is basically crap. And you know, and so yeah, and that's all I gotta say in this video. All right, cheers and au revoir.